Hey folks, this is your host Mandeep, and today is Sunday, October the 17th, and I'll do another tutorial on creating a scan using the CCI momentum indicator. Now, before we get into it, I just want to make sure that folks have taken a look at the last tutorial I did, which was a scan based on the Keltner channel, and the results of that have been nothing but stellar. I've been using that scan for quite some time now, and people in my Discord room have also been using the scan and had positive results using that scan. So the purpose of any scan, as I've mentioned before, is just one, in my opinion, which is to look at the 6 or 7,000 stocks that we have in the U.S. market and be able to just distill those down to like a handful of stocks, right? Because when you have dozens of stocks in your list, then it becomes much harder to pick the one for day trade. But if you have a handful of stocks, it's much easier. And either way, you should always look for some kind of a correlation, right? So if you find more than one stock from the same industry, that's generally considered a positive thing because there's focus or sector rotation happening into that stock. Now, these are the results from the Kelvin channel that became available on Friday, and I'm going to show you the results of a handful of those, right? So as you can see, Tesla was one of the stocks that was on the list, and once it triggered a buy, the close pretty much came on the last bar. So if we right click on that and look at the show report, and of course this data is based on the UTS trading strategy, you can see this traded like $1,455 in profit. So it was 10:15, which is Friday. The trade triggered at 7:30 and ended at 12:45. Although you could have taken it off at the very last bar, it just sends you a reminder 1 bar before the market is about to close. And these are obviously on the 15-minute time frame. So we'll take a look at a handful of stocks. Coin was another one, and it had 2 buys in 2 consecutive days, and we can take a quick peek at the results of that. And it did $890, and the day prior it did $694 for a total profit of about $2,800 in about 20 days, right? So Alcoa was another stock that popped up, and as you can see, this one was positive as well. Home Depot was positive as well. Just take a quick look at the report, and then we'll jump into the scan that we want to do for today. $306 of profit here. So almost all of them is, as you will see, generated good profit, right? So the way it works is that the scan is telling you what to buy, and the signal is telling you when to trade it, right? So this is what to trade and when to trade it, right? Makes it a little bit simpler, and all of these produce some really good trades. Okay, so let's just forget about this, and we'll just look into the a scan for today. And as always, we'll start with a blank scan, and we'll start adding a few studies here. So let me just add a few studies so that we can get started, and then we'll obviously add more as we need them. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll edit this, and as most of you know, the ones who are following me, that I start looking at stocks which have an ATR of at least 2.5 and average volume over the last 30 days to be greater than 700,000. So that's your first condition, right? And that's based on the daily aggregate, okay? So that's the first condition. Now what we'll do is we'll start taking a look at the CCI indicator. So again, we click on the edit again, and then let's find the study, CCI, which is right here. And we'll just look at that CCI plot is greater than, now typically people say, once it crosses zero, it's actually positive. But in our case, since we are looking for stocks that have high momentum, we'll use a slightly different value, right? So what we'll do is say the CCI is greater than, and we'll look at an actual value, and we'll use the number 50 here for the smallest time frame. So let's save this. Now we're going to trade. This scan is actually built if you're trading the 10-minute or the 15-minute. If you're trading higher time frames, adjust it accordingly. So the first time frame that we'll use is the 30. Even though the actual trade is happening on the 10, the next higher time frame that we are going to use is 30, and then we'll use hour, 4 hour, and a day. And this number is going to be just slightly different for the higher time frames. Okay, so now we'll save this as well, but before we do, we'll just make a copy of this. So just to make a copy of this, and then we'll go to the next one and just paste it here. And the next time frame that we're going to use is the hour time frame, so change that to the hour, right? And then what we'll do is we'll change this number to 100, right? So now I know it's a little bit counterintuitive in the sense that when the CCI or RSI is, they're above 70, or in this case it's above 100, it's considered overbought. But on a shorter time frame, what we're trying to do is just find out these high momentum stocks where, on the 30-hour, 4-hour day, it's trading, above 100. And then, we don't worry about the CCI number in the short time frame. Okay, so bear with me as I go through this process. And then this is the hour. Then we want to do the same thing for the 4-hour time frame. So let's do that without the extended hours enabled. After that, we're going to look at the day time frame here, and we'll paste the same thing here, hit OK. And then the last one, we'll say the stock is trading higher than yesterday's high. So close is greater than high of the previous day. The reason we do that is that if the stock is taken out yesterday's high, it's basically taken out the resistance from yesterday. And we'll add one more filter here, and it's basically going to do the same thing, except that we'll look at it on a weekly time frame. So close is greater than high of the previous week as well, right? By doing this, we'll make sure that none of these stocks are chopping. And so this is basically what our scan is going to look like. So let's hit the scan button and see what kind of stocks that we get. And again, I've already used the scan. I've created this before, so I know what the output looks like. It's typically like a short number of stocks. Now, instead of all symbols, we can also do all listed stocks, right? So because we really don't care about what is happening with some of the futures and the indices if you don't trade them, but you can adjust them the way you like. But let's just say we'll do all listed stocks here, and then run the scan again and see what kind of data do we get. So you have let's say 23 stocks, which is actually not too bad, right? And then what we can do is we can take a look at these stocks in our scan. So what you would do is, since I already have this saved, but otherwise what you would do is just you will save this as a scan query, so it becomes like a dynamic list for you, and then it'll auto-populate each day, right? So let's just go back into the charts, and I already have the list created here because I did it beforehand. And then we'll take a look at a few stocks from this list. Now, again, the purpose of any scan is always to produce a small number of stocks, and 23 is not too bad. And then you can use whatever further filtering criteria you prefer, right? I oftentimes look at the RSI, and I like taking stocks that are trading above 70 because they really have momentum. And so let's take a look at the results of some of these scans, right? So this clearly was an absolutely stellar performer, and many of us in the room actually traded this, and this was like highly profitable. This was like up $100. But look at the entry on this, right? And this came from that CCI scan list that I just created. So if you right click on this and look at show study, drill down, and you'll see this did, for every 100 shares, almost close to $9,000 in profit. The trade triggered at 33.11 at 7:15 a.m. So 45 minutes after the market opened Pacific Standard Time. And then, of course, it closed it at the very last bar, right, at 3,400. So this is a fantastic trade that came. Tesla, which also showed up in the Kelvin Channel list, also showed up on this list. So highly profitable. Let's take a look at VMware. right click here, and again it'll show you the report here, right? So $230 in profit, right? And we can keep going down, and you'll see most of them had good entries. I mean, obviously the entry was dictated by the UTS system, but these you could depending on whatever strategy you use, it actually gave you a good focus list to trade on. Again, a profit of 694 on this one. Let's look at coin, because of Bitcoin going up, and two good trades in 2 days on this one. So that's another 819 profit, right? So you can sort of go through this at your own leisure and take a look if these produce good results, or the fact that some of these will have likely follow up tomorrow. And I cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow. This list could potentially get adjusted, or will get adjusted tomorrow based on the market dynamics and conditions. As you can see, even though this company Jasper Therapeutics was in the list, it never generated a buy, right? The buy never got triggered, even though it was on the list. But the day prior, you had a very decent trade on this. So yet another scan, and I've done quite a few in my tutorials over a period of time, and I'm just trying to help people understand that creating these scans on TOS is a very powerful feature. And if you learn how to create these scans, it's fantastic to have them sort of on your watch list. But then over a period of time, based on your trading style, just filter them down to 2 or 3 scans that you have, that you look at. Because if you have multiple scans, or multiple lists that you're looking through the day, it's much harder for day trading, right? And again, this is predicated if you're trading the 10 or the 15 minute. And if you're trading like the 5 minute, then make sure you probably don't need to go to the day time frame for the CCI. You can go probably a little bit less, to 100. And I don't know what the output of that is. You'll have to test it out yourself. But I've given you the framework to work it out. Have a great rest of the Sunday, and I will see you guys soon in my next tutorial. Bye-bye.